royalty. Hey Garden Maters, welcome to Corner Homestead. I was getting ready to put the following video together and discovered that my microphone did not work during the preparation time. So I'm going to be narrating over that part of the video. But we're in the kitchen making homemade mac and cheese with tomatoes, or you can opt to make it without tomatoes. Either way, it's delicious, and I hope you try it.
Okay, so with your block cheeses, you wanted to use, I always use Colby Jack, and this time I'm using mozzarella. You can use any type of block cheese that you may have or what you desire to use. And I usually always do the Colby Jack, and most of the time I do a block of regular Colby and also a block of sharp cheddar cheese. But again, I'm just using what I have on hand. You want to slice all of the cheese in blocks into slices. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's all gonna melt. So I just did the Colby Jack, now I'm doing the mozzarella. Slice up the entire block. The more cheese that you have, the better it is. But again, with all the cheeses, whether it be block or the shredded cheese I use, you always want to just go with what you like. Colby Jack again, and sharp cheddar cheese are the two favorites, but this time I am trying the mozzarella. Make all the slices about 1/4 inch thick, but they don't have to be perfect. So I have everything on the plate ready to go. This time I'm using the penne noodles. Usually I use elbow, but I decided to go with the penne this time, and it seemed to work out a bit better because the cheese and the juice from the tomatoes, everything incorporated into the whole of the noodle into the center, and it just made it seemed to give it a better flavor. So I think these noodles are probably the best to use. Now you will need whole tomatoes, not diced. Whole are best. And as for your shreds, Italian style I'm using, and the mild cheddar cheese. Again, sharp can be better. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the noodles, you want to just cook these until they're al dente, not fully cooked. A little bit of salt in the water. And again, just until they're al dente, because you will be baking it and they'll finish cooking in the oven. So we've got our cheeses all cut, got our tomatoes ready. I'm going to be using 2 cans because I'm going to be doing all these pans. Usually I do this in a 9x13 casserole dish, but I'm doing it in these pans this time because it's going to be one of these is going to go for my neighbor. I'm not sure what size this is. I believe it's a 9-inch square pan. And these are just the foil pans with the lids. They're 2 1/4 pound pans, but I get all these pans at the dollar store, at the Dollar Tree. But this is what we're going to use today. Okay, so now that I have the noodles cooked al dente, I'm going to take them off and drain them. I started using this smaller everyday colander and realized I needed to switch out to a larger one because I did do 2 pounds of the penne, so it was just a little bit too much for the smaller colander. So you just want to rinse them very well in cold water. Stop the cooking process. Just get them all good and rinsed and drained. And now it's time to start building. So we're going to go ahead and put in the first layer. I did not spray these pans ahead of time with any cooking spray because the juices in the end usually keep it from sticking. So you want to go ahead and put in about a quarter of the way up of the noodles to begin with. Get them everything spread evenly. And then the next layer is going to be the block cheese slices. Just going to start layering them in. Every one that you, or different variety that you manage to use in this dish, that's what you just want to use. So I put in the Colby Jack first, and now I'm layering in the mozzarella. And then after this is all finished with, we're going to get our Italian shredded cheese, and I'm just going to be sprinkling that on. Just get a pretty good amount into it. And next is the tomatoes. This is where the whole tomatoes are best, even though you cut them into pieces. If you use diced tomatoes or petite diced or anything like that, they just kind of get lost once it's all baked. To really get the flavor of the tomatoes, it's best to use the whole tomatoes. Just makes everything taste better in the end. So one thing about this dish is you can make it ahead of time and bake it at a later date. You can either put it in the refrigerator for a day or two, or you can also seal it very well and put it in your freezer. Now right here you add the juices from the tomato can. You don't want to throw any of that away. Now I'm putting on the layer of cheddar cheese. You want to give it a good layer of that, of the shredded cheddar cheese. Now I'm adding the rest of the noodles that are left from the 2 pounds. Not that I used the 2 pounds in this one dish, I used 2 pounds in all 3 of those pans. But yes, put the rest of the noodles in, make sure everything is leveled out once again. And then again, we're going to just continue to build. So now this time I'm going to put the tomatoes on, the rest of the tomatoes from the can. Cut them all up and put them in there. Layer everything around. But as I said, this is a very good dish for freezing, having on hand in your freezer for days when you want something quick. Just pop it out and put it in the oven. Now I did add the rest of the juice from that one can of tomatoes, and now I'm layering on the block cheese again, the slices. And then we're going to go back and layer on more of the Italian shredded cheese. But again, if you don't have Italian, you can use anything that you like. It's always up to the individual. And then the last layer is a good helping of the shredded cheddar cheese. So I'll be putting that on as soon as I'm done layering on the Italian. So here's the cheddar cheese. And like I said, I usually always use sharp cheddar cheese, but I just didn't have it this time, so just using the mild cheddar instead. Doesn't really make too big of a difference in the end.
So that's it for the preparation. Now normally I would put these in my oven at 375 and just keep a random check on them. So little trays like this would probably take about an hour to cook. Again, you just keep checking it. You want to be sure the noodles are completely done, since they were cooked only al dente. And again, the cheese to be all melted. Last 5 to 10 minutes of baking, you do remove the tin foil so that the cheese can brown just a little bit, to your liking, of course. Now, because it is so hot today, over 100 degrees with the index, I don't want to heat up my kitchen. I don't want to heat up the house. So I have an outdoor smoker box. Not that I'm going to use it for smoking today, but I do use it as an outdoor oven, just for things like this. So we're going to put it in the smoker, and we're just going to keep checking on it until it's nice and done. Comes in handy on days like this when it's just too darn hot to turn on the oven, but you want to do something good. So we're going to put these outside, and we'll check on them in a little while. Okay, so this is the finished mac and cheese, one pan of it. Okay, so this is fresh out of the smoker box. Now I cooked this in there at, it was about 220 degrees for 2 hours, and it's perfect. Now I did not take the tinfoil off. I didn't uncover it while it was in there because it was in the, what I call my outdoor oven. If it would have been in the oven, I probably would have took it off to let this brown just a little bit. So if you're doing it outside on a grill or a smoker box, you want to kind of keep it covered. Unless you're doing the actual smoking, then you can put the, uncover it to let the flavor of the smoke go through it. I didn't do that today. I just baked it in there. If you're doing it inside in your oven, it would be 375 degrees, and you just want to keep a check on it until everything is hot and melted. And then it's up to you, up your own individual taste, if you want to take it and take the tinfoil off to let it brown any. Very hot, very yummy. So I hope you enjoy the recipe, Garden Maters. I hope you try it. If you do, please leave me a comment below the video and let me know what you think. This is a recipe that we grew up eating because it was a staple pretty much in my house. My mom always made this recipe, but I know growing up it was always on the table as much as it could be. So we always enjoy it, and we've always liked it. So after it was completely done, it was to perfection. It just turned out beautiful. The cheese was definitely melted all the way through. The noodles were done to perfection, not mushy, not anything. Not mushy, not hard, just perfect. But again, when you bake it, just make sure it's done to your liking. Now, as for the cheese, you use any type of cheese that you want. You don't have to follow the cheeses that I used. Absolutely, the more cheese, the better. So I thank you for joining me. It's always a pleasure to have you here, whether it be in the garden or in the kitchen. And until next time, I love you. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you on the next video.